What's up everybody, you're watching Model Aviator, I'm Adam. This week we're reviewing the new Xane 50mm MiG-17 from Banana Hobby. We'll get started by checking out the assembly. When it comes to the assembly, the manual is a little bit rudimentary. There are some steps in there that will apply more to a kit than a plug-and-play format model. And the steps for the plug-and-play assembly are not exactly super detailed like a lot of modern-day manuals are. However, between the manual and looking at the airplane, what needs to be done is pretty obvious for a reasonably experienced modeler that has a few foamy assemblies under their belt. So it's certainly not what you'd say is hard. There is glue required. You can use a number of different foam compatible glues, E2000, foam, tack, welder, cement, even medium CA. That's what we chose to use to get it done quickly. We also use Kicker. We'll take you step by step through what we did to get her together. The parts count is very low, and this is an assembly that doesn't take very long, particularly if you use a faster drying glue like the medium CA that we chose to use. We started by installing our control horns on all the control surfaces. There's 4. 2 for each aileron and 2 for each elevator. You have a main control horn and a back plate, and 1 screw in opposing corners is more than enough. You don't have to use 4 on an airplane this size. Next, we scored the 2 halves of the horizontals where we're going to have glue so that we get good contact. Then we installed them into the vertical assembly. Be sure and dry fit this before you use glue so that you can make sure you get it into the correct position quickly. Then we scored the vertical, dry fit it into the fuselage, and then glued it into place. There's a single wing tube that fits in a notch in the fuselage. It can't be held there by the fuse. It will move around, so the easiest way to do it is to just put it in one wing half. Be sure you score the glue contact points on both the fuse and the wing. Glue one wing half in, then bring the other half on the tube and glue it in. You can hang the second wing on the tube while you fish the servo wires. Obviously with both wings you've got to get the servo wires fished through to the battery bay. Next, set up your transmitter and install your receiver of choice. Get everything plugged in, then you can power the airplane up and center the servos. Now you can install your push rods and get everything properly aligned. The 2 long push rods for the 2 elevators go through rings on either side of the horizontal to route them into place, and there's a quick connect for adjustment on the other end at the servo. And finally, you can glue your aileron push rod covers into place. The MiG-17 is a bank and yank 3-channel airplane. You have elevator, aileron, and throttle control. It is a plug-and-play format, which means you'll have to install your receiver of choice. Any protocol is fine as long as it's full range and you have at least 4 channels. We fly Spectrum, so we chose an AR410 Sport receiver. That's a non-stabilized receiver. The MiG has a wingspan of 29 inches. It's 35 inches long. Our example weighs 1 pound 6 ounces, ready to fly with our battery of choice. It has a 4900 kV motor, a Hobbywing 40 amp Skywalker ESC, 3 9-gram servos, and is recommended for batteries in the 3S 1300 to 1500 milliamp range. When it comes to the recommended battery range, be sure and stick around for the setup section of this review. We're going to talk about that. The MiG-17 has a magnetic hatch, and there is plenty of room in there for the recommended range of batteries and beyond. Wink wink. There's also 2 drop tanks that you can glue on if you would like. They weigh almost nothing, but they do create a bit of drag. There is a plastic skid plate that you can cut out and glue to the bottom if you'd like. I'd rather just use tape if I even need it. We've got pretty smooth grass. I want to keep it clean and light, so we didn't install those. When it comes to setup, it's not complicated with a bank and yank 50mm EDF, and the manual provides some of the pertinent information. You have balance range information, you have clevis control horn placement information there, and you can set the expo to your liking. Just put some in, test it out, fly it, adjust it to your tastes. When it comes to the battery range, 1300 to 1500, we have some of those. We put it in the airplane before we ever flew it, could not get it to get to the balance point. It was extremely tail heavy with those. We tried a couple of 2200s. They fit just fine. Don't add much weight. Still couldn't get it there. We had to put 3/4 of an ounce of ballast up front. As you can see here, it is out of sight of the intake and as far forward as we can get it. So you could feasibly put a 3200 3-cell in there. It would fit, but that's going to add more weight than the ballast that we use, and it's going to be further back. It still may not get you to the balance point, so we don't recommend that. The airplane does fly really well on these 2200s. We used a Spectrum Smart 2230C and an old Kinesis 2230C. Airplane performs just fine with those batteries. So we're going to put our setup page next. You can take a look at that, pause it, and see exactly how we set ours up. Okay, we're going to take her out and fly her now. Not much to intro here, pretty simple. We'll flew the airplane 2 times, one each with both of those 2200 batteries that we showed you, the 3 cells. Worth noting, this is a true 3-cell airplane. We heard from another reviewer that was kind enough to tell us that he tried it on 4-cell and burned some electronics up. So it is rated for 3-cell and it is a true 3-cell EDF, so that's what we flew it on. Performs well on 3-cell, so check this flying out and then we'll meet you back here and give you our final thoughts. And launching went really well. The lack of a gyro or any kind of stabilization or self-leveling didn't seem to matter. As you can see here, stall characteristics are very benign and non-eventful. The MiG moves right along at full throttle, and there's plenty of power for sport and scale aerobatics. Coming up on the second flight, we'll push it a little bit harder and we'll land it better then as well. than the landing, it was great.
There's not really a need to narrate much on this second flight, so we'll just let you enjoy it. The only thing we want to add is flying the way we flew it here, you can get 4-minute flight times with throttle management.
And there we have it. Enjoyed flying the little MiG-17. Good flying airplane, and keep in mind, all of my impressions, this is with no stabilization. We just put a regular 4-channel Spectrum Sport receiver in it, and we did fly it on a breezy day, and the airplane performed very well. There's no need for save or any kind of automatic leveling to hand launch this thing. You give it the beans, toss it out there, and it just flies right out of your hand, nice and straight as you please, so long as you have it balanced properly. Now that's, of course, with me holding it right back here at the back part of the fuselage in an overhand throw. It slows down well. It has very docile stall characteristics, and you have enough power and performance on 3-cell for sport and scale aerobatics, so you can do the MiG-17 justice if you want to. When it comes to skill level, it could be a first EDF for certain people. I think it depends on the individual. I would say intermediate skill level for this airplane. You need to be past a trainer, obviously, and it's a nice airplane to add to your hangar just given the size and the ease of transport. That is the point of airplanes in this series. A 50mm EDF is just meant to be easy like Sunday morning, simple, not complicated, and this one absolutely is. And it performs like airplanes in its class. Most of them fly on 3 or 4S. This performs right along the ones on 3S. And when it comes to cost, a lot of those have half painted canopies. The canopy frame isn't even painted. This one has a clear canopy. I don't really know if that's a huge selling point at this size. You're not going to win the Scale Masters Championships with any of these, but it is an attractive looking model in my opinion, and I think that the fit and finish and performance is right in line with where it should be for an airplane that you're going to pay $139 for. That's a really good deal. All the other airplanes in this 50mm bank and yank class range anywhere from $159 to $200, so this is a pretty smoking deal. So if you think this is something that you'd like to add to your hangar, we'll put a link in the description where you can go straight to Banana Hobby and get yourself one. Check out some of the other 50mm EDFs that Xane is making. Some pretty intriguing stuff that hasn't been done in 50mm before. That's pretty much it for us. So take care of yourselves. Happy flying. We'll see you next week with something cool with wings.